Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 20th day of April. Very beautiful day here in the Nashville, Tennessee, Mid-South area here. A lot of good games on tonight. Now, the NBA, they're killing me. They're killing me, Smalls, like the great the Sandlot movie character from the Sandlot movie said. So you've got two basketball games, the Clippers and the Suns, and Kawhi Leonard. We'll talk about that before I bring on Coach Skip Hall at 15 minutes after the hour to talk about his book, Coach 'em Up, which is available at the bottom of the screen, how to get that. He'll be coming on the program here in about 14 minutes or so. But first, let's go ahead and get our one and only break out of the way. I'll be back in 49 seconds. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Then I'm live here. I did want to touch on this. I may go back to this story here in the next few days or so. News broke this afternoon. I just cannot believe it because he's been having such a good game, is Kawhi Leonard Pickles. He's going to be out tonight. He's going to be out tonight with a knee sprain. Kawhi's coming off of an ACL injury, and it's the same knee that he tore that ACL in. That is all the information I have right now. I'll say this. He's turning into, like you would say, Pickles a hurt locker. The guy's won Defensive Player of the Year. He's won 2 championships. Now, with the Clippers, since he's been with the Clippers since 2019, 2020, he's played 57, 52 out the whole season in 21 and 22. And he's played 52. So he hasn't played 60 games since the 2018 season. He's got one more year left of this $46 million contract that he's got. 48, excuse me. Yeah, he's got one more year of this $48 million contract. And I'll say this about Kawhi. He's no longer a max contract guy. He's not, to me, he's not even a multi-year guy. And if I'm him, I'm thinking, you know what? My body's let me down, but I can't steal from you people like that no more. I just can't do it. So he would have to be a year-to-year player, in my opinion. Coming on after this, it just is what it is. Maybe the guy simply just, played too hard. His body's giving out early on. I don't know what it is. Some people's bodies just simply breaks down. Others like LeBron, he's really and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Pickle says he's a character guy. He's a quiet guy. He's low key. He gets out there and plays defense. He's been playing the best basketball since his Toronto Raptors days when he, ends up. I think they won the MVP back in that 18-19 year when they beat the Golden State Warriors. It's very unfortunate. It's really I really like Steve Ballmer. He seems like a good guy, high energy guy. Of course, I took him tonight, this morning, and now the point spread shot all the way up to 8 points. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers didn't shoot them out. You just never know. Clippers are a pretty deep team. We'll see how it plays out, but no Paul George and no Kawhi. That's going to be a tough task for this Clipper team. They just seem to have a little bit of bad luck, if you ask me. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. He kind of reminds me at this point of a Sam Bradford in the NFL. Again, I was watching Sam Bradford back in 2017, former number 1 overall pick from Oklahoma. And, he goes to this really good Minnesota Vikings team, has a great game on Monday night, and finishes game, clean pocket, great running game, you name it, excellent defense that year. They got all the way to that team got all the way to the NFC Championship game that year. No, they got blown out by they ended up getting blown out by the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. But that particular Monday night game, looked like nobody touched him. The guy had an injury. He was out for the whole season. And of course, the backup comes in and they go all the way to the NFC Championship game. Some players, it just happens. You can't explain it. It is what it is. Other players, it just seems to be, guys like LeBron, they can play through anything. Jim Jeffcoat, been on his program several. I'm on him, Mac and Jack and Jim Jeffcoat's show every Sunday. And I want to say he played 13, he might have played 16 years in the league. The first 13, he said he never missed any games. He said he didn't start missing games to the very end of his career. Some guys are just built different than others. Do you want to say it's genetics? Do you want to say it's diet? It's all the above? I don't know. 15 years is what Pickles says. Yeah, Pickles keeps up with that program too. Switching gears here. Boston, looking good for them. Malcolm Brogdon wins Sixth Man of the Year. Okay. So another reason why you look at that Boston team, guys like Derek White off the bench, Malcolm Brogdon today was won Sixth Man of the Year with the Marcus Smart, with the Tatum, with the Smith there. And if again, this is the story of the NBA the last few years. If you could keep Robert Williams healthy, Corey, they definitely should be. They are currently. They weren't for a little while, but they are currently favorites. My guess is, though, Giannis will be back. Of course, Milwaukee won last night, shot Miami out of the building. Miami has a tendency to go in those cold spurts, So kudos to them. Pickle says Brogdon's a great shooter. Yeah, that's kudos to them. And also, CeeDee Lamb is a little switching back to NFL. Cowboys exercise 5th-year option on CeeDee Lamb, according to a source with 2 Pro Bowl selections. Lamb will make $17.99, and whoo, man, these wide receiver salaries are getting out of this world. According to Todd Archer, covers the Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb will make $17.9 million in 24, although the team would like to sign an extension this offseason. Well, yeah, I would think so, and get that number down, a 5th-year option. But you know what? He's improved a lot. He's way better than I thought he would be. And also in the NFL, I'll tell you some strange news stories. I've read this today. Adam Schefter was reporting that the Eagles are hiring former Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia as a senior defensive assistant there. So apparently they have moved on. I want to say that the Patriots, I can't remember the guy's name. Pickles, he was a former linebacker there. And he is in line to be, and I should know him because he played for Tennessee. I should know him. But he's played for Tennessee, and Pickles, you probably know it, but he's probably going to be their he's probably going to be their Jared Mayo. Yeah, he's probably going to be their defensive coordinator. Mayo has been interviewing for head coaching jobs the last few years. Now, you look at guys like DeMeco Ryans. A lot of middle linebackers, they seem to make pretty good coaches. You look Mike Vrabel, linebacker here. Now, he also played for Belichick. Now, he didn't coach under Belichick technically, but Mayo played and coached under Belichick, and Mayo, going back to his Tennessee days, was considered a very smart player, high football IQ. So he's probably going to be listed as the quote-unquote coordinator this year, and maybe he could be the head coach next year for the Patriots, if not somewhere else. Maybe that is some kind of inclination that some kind of deal he's got with Robert Kraft. That's something, that's a storyline going forward. Now, I don't know why they didn't keep Matt Patricia, but remember I had Keith Fingal on a few weeks ago. Guy really covers the Patriots, followed the Patriots for a long time, really in deep insight with assistant coaches, knows about Scarnecchia, which is a legendary offensive line coach there who recently retired. People like that, he's saying that Mayo, he's saying they keep changing the title. They keep changing the title to Patricia. So I don't know, man. Patricia's probably a really good coach. He comes off as a guy just not very good people's person, So anyways, I thought that was interesting. I thought that he was going to stay on with the Patriots there. Matt Patricia seemed like a good coach for a while, but then again, and also just want to give everybody a heads up, Shams Charania. Now this game will be played, I think it's going to be played at either 10 or 10:30. I want to say it's going to be played tonight at 10:30 Eastern time. That Domantas Sabonis is set to play. And, of course, Draymond Green is suspended. Remember, Sabonis got the chest contusion. That word's been thrown out a lot. He's got the chest contusion from the stomp from Draymond Green. So he will play tonight. I'm still picking Golden State to win tonight. I think they'll come out. They'll be rocking. I'm going to try to watch a little bit of it. I just wish it would. Yeah, Pickle says go Kings. Yeah, I'd like to see the Kings sweep them, but, you just never know. So anyways, backstage here, I've seen him pop up there, Coach. Let's make sure looks like it's a blank screen, but you did come up. But I got to get up my intro here anyways. But I'll go ahead and introduce Coach Skip Hall. And I may have to bring him back up because I've seen his screen popped up, but he hasn't. It looks like a blank screen. So it looks like he's still getting situated. So, but I'll go ahead and introduce him anyways. Coach Skip Hall's assistant coach. He started off at Colorado. Then he went to Kent State. And in Washington as an assistant under top 50 all-time college football head coach, according to two websites. Okay. The two websites are Bleacher Report and ESPN. Says Coach Don James, who later on coached that Washington team, Pickles, that Washington Huskies team that Mark Brunell played on in 1991, split a national championship with the 91 Hurricanes. Now, this is before the college football playoff. So Coach Hall, he coached with him at Kent State and at Washington. And, of course, at Kent State, he coached a guy named Nick Saban. Yes, the Nick Saban. And then he coached with the Nick Saban. So I can't wait to ask him about this. And then in 87, Coach Skip Hall became the head coach of Boise State. He was an assistant for a number of years at Missouri. Basically 30 years into coaching, successful business career, worked with Aflac. I wonder if he got all those Aflac commercials for Nick Saban. Principal Financial Group in Boise, Idaho. Also a weekly radio show called Game Plan for Life on 94.1 out of Boise, Idaho. I got to ask him, is that AM or PM or FM? AM or FM? And he is also the author, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, scrolling, Coach 'em Up. So let me see if I can bring in Coach Skip Hall here. Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Oh,
and
okay.
How about from your end? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you turn your camera on, or is there something wrong with it?
Well, I'm not sure here. Let's take a look.
Let's see.
I had it up at one point, but now I'm not sure.
Well, if not, I'll just talk to you this way. It doesn't matter, but
yeah, let's keep talking, and I'll keep looking. Okay.
Hey, Keith Engel from TGI Sports said that he said he interviewed you a few years ago, and you're a really good interview. And he says hello, Keith Engel. I don't know if you remember him.
Yes, I do, and please reciprocate. Tell him hello from me. And I love these sports shows so much. I mean, I've been involved with sports ever since I was a little kid, and that's over.
Oh, well, technology. This click the button back on, Coach, and come back on it, and that's okay. That's called dealing with live radio and podcast. Let's see. Hit the link again. Let's see if it comes back on here. I told him he can do it through his laptop or through the phone here. You guys know how everything is. But yeah, no, so Coach Skip Hall been around for a long time. I want to say he started in like 71, Pickles. I want to 71. Nick Saban, a little background information. I want to say that Nick Saban started playing at Kent State in 1970. Saban, we always talk about like people who are born on third base. They get, let's see. Hold on, device is not connected. He's trying to get in here. Let's see what happens. But it says device not connected. Yeah. It says not connected. Okay, I'm sending the coach a text again. But now going back to Saban. So Nick Saban was a defensive back, guys. And like Bill Belichick, both of those coaches are really good with cornerbacks. By the way, I was talking and I was listening to a couple of mock drafts today while I was riding in. I was listening to Joe Klatt with Fox Sports and Colin Cowherd. And they both said that they think that Belichick, and like myself, he's going to draft Joey Porter Jr. Pickles. That's son of Joey Porter, cornerback out of Penn State. He is going to draft him out of Penn State. But anyways, going back to the very beginning now, like I said, Coach Skip Hall, he coached Nick Saban as a defensive back. Now, Saban started off at Kent State in 1970. We're talking over 50 years ago here. As a cornerback with Kent State there. And as soon as he got out, and then he's trying another one here. Let's see. Let's see. Kick from studio. I'll kick that one. No, let's try that. Let's see. Okay, Coach, can you hear me now? Well, he's going to try. Let's see. Hello, Coach Hall. Yeah, he's still getting squared away here. But either way, So Saban, and this is interesting because there's a song by what looks like he might got on there. Can you hear me, Coach? Not yet. Yeah, technology so frustrating. So then he goes on, Saban does, to be a grad assistant. Check this out, Pickles, in 1973. All right. And from 73 to 74, grad assistant. This is Saban. And Coach Hall's helping coach him up. Like his book, right? Then linebacker coach. That's 75, 76. 77, Syracuse. This is Saban here. 78 to 79, West Virginia defensive back. That's where he's from, by the way. 80 to 81, Ohio State defensive back. 82, Navy. Think about all the travel. Think about the road to Mississippi. Can you hear me, Coach? No, not yet. No sound yet. So then you got Michigan State from 83 to 87, DC and DB coach. He's going to try it again, guys. Houston Oilers DB coach. Toledo 1 year. 1990. Didn't even say what title that was. And then he gets on as a defensive coordinator in 91 with Bill Belichick. So think about this. From 73 till 91, he was grad assistant, linebacker coach, Kent State, Syracuse, West Virginia, Ohio State, Navy, Michigan State, Houston Oilers for a year, Toledo. Look, he worked at Toledo in 1990. He didn't even have a title, Pickles. Didn't even have a title there. And then he got on with Cleveland with Bill Belichick, the great Bill Belichick, in 91. And then, of course, that's when he got his head coaching job from 91-94 with the Browns, head coaching job at Michigan State. Rest is history. 2000 at LSU. And wins that national championship, goes to the Dolphins for 2005 to 2006. And, of course, back at Alabama, legendary head coach, 7 national championships, you know. And Pickle says, kept his suitcase packed. I mean, traveling man, you know. And see what the coach is saying here. Hey, I'll wait on you, Coach, just whenever you want to come back in here. Let's see if he either way. But you know, it's not as, you know, you got people like Sean McVay. I mean, his granddad worked as a general manager with the Giants. I want to say the Giants in the 70s, and he helped build as a general manager, McVay, his grandfather, helped build those 49er teams, Pickles, in the 80s that won all those Super Bowls, okay? So, and his dad played. So it's a lot easier when you got, but you got to look at a guy like Nick Saban, dad, tough love, I think he owned that gas station, a little small gas station out of West Virginia. And I remember one time he was helping his dad there, and he was upset because his girlfriend broke up with him, and he was taking that attitude out and, taking it out on the customers. And his dad said, "What's the problem?" And, Nick Saban's like, "Well, I'm hurt. My girlfriend, my girlfriend broke up with me, and I just, I'm just in a really bad mood." He said, "Well, you're about to not have a job, and you need to stay in school, okay?" So he taught him how to deal with his problems, shove that to the side, and keep it moving. And then he took him down on them coal mines, and he says, "You need to concentrate on what you want to do in life and go hard at it, or you're going to be working down here, Nick." And I tell you what, that coal mine, that got his attention, Pickles and Corey, just like it got Jerry West's attention. But I'm still waiting on you, Coach. We'll wait on you, man. Just take your time. Take your time. Nepotism hire. Yeah. Saban's a suitcase guy. And, so Coach Skip Hall, he coached with this. Pickles, did you ever hear of Don James? Don James, again, like I was saying earlier, Don James is considered a top 50 coach of all time, coach from Washington. And, I'll say this. In 1991, I was very young at the time, didn't follow as much college football then. I just wonder which team was better. Now, the Hurricanes, I wonder if it was more about reputation with that 91 Hurricane team, because I looked at, and I'll ask the coach that when he comes back on here. Because it looks like that this Washington Husky team had better players, but they were the Washington Huskies. Dennis Eckerson, yeah, that's what I thought. And Larry Frank, who I've had on the program, he's interviewed Dennis Eckerson. Yeah, Dennis Eckerson. So, but here's the rosters here, and we can discuss this too here. Just a little food for thought while we're waiting on the coach to get back in here. That 91 Washington team had Napoleon Kaufman on it at running back. Good running back there. You all remember him. Mark Brunell. Mark Brunell was a hair away in 99. I think Brunell was he was like a 5th round draft pick. He wasn't. Someone was talking about him the other day. He wasn't a very high draft pick, but he's turned out to be a great player with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was just a tad bit away. He was a candidate to win MVP in 99 in NFL. And we all know Kurt Warner won it and beat the Titans here in Nashville. But players like that, now, if you want to go back to that Hurricane roster, Pickles, Gino Torrietta. Now, I don't hear anything he did. I can't remember anything he did in the NFL. But there's guys like Chris T. Jones that made it, Horace Copeland, Lamar Thomas. I don't remember any of these guys. Darrell Spencer. Pickles, you may have heard some of those guys. Coleman Bell, Carlos Etheridge. They all made it. But the two that stuck out with me was this, like I said, Mark Brunell and Napoleon Kaufman. I know they made it. I know they made it in the NFL. And the reason why I say that is these two teams, they split it. They both went undefeated. They didn't play each other in the national championship. Think about now how ridiculous that is. And that's why I like the college football playoff here. I haven't seen coaches. I guess he's still working on everything. But anyways, I tell you what, it's a small world. It's a coaching fraternity. Coach Skip Hall, he's also coached with Jay Mills. He's a guy, one of the first coaches I brought on the program. His book here called Game On, and I haven't got a chance. A coach's plan for discipleship. I haven't got a chance to read that. I was wanting to ask Coach Skip Hall. He's into self-help and spirituality and everything. Very successful businessman. Of course, he was a great coach for years and worked with some great successful people. How do you create new habits? I have a problem. Look at these books, guys. I still haven't started The Eye of the Tiger by Al Borges. And this is a good book, man. You've seen me interview Al Borges twice, former Auburn offensive coordinator of that 2014. They didn't get a chance. And we go undefeated in the SEC, you should be able to play for a national championship. Didn't get a chance to play for a national championship that year. But, I do the show during the week. I work a day job, which is you got the 40 hours there. Then you got the prep time for this job. Then you have the hour on the air here. Then I do Mac and Jack and Jim Jeffcoat on Sunday, go to church Sunday afternoons. Usually I'm taking naps on the weekends, but I think when I wake up, I shouldn't be watching TV. I shouldn't be putting the news on and making some coffee, messing with my phone. I should be digging in Pickles and finishing up that Jimmy Johnson book, which is really good, by the way. If I get a chance, I'm going to try to bring Jim Jeffcoat on. And he was talking about Jimmy Johnson, Pickles, was talking about Charles Haley in 1993 when Emmitt Smith held out. Remember that, Pickles? The Cowboys went, they already won the Super Bowl. In 92, 93, they won the Super Bowl. In the fall of 93, Emmitt won a new contract. You know, he was in contract year or something like that. There was not a cap then. The cap didn't come out to the very next year. So they went 0-2 and lost one of those games early in the season to the Buffalo Bills, if you guys recall. Okay. And then Charles Haley, according to Jimmy Johnson's book, Pickles, he takes a helmet and throws it at Jerry Jones and said, "Pay the man." Now, that didn't make the news. Jimmy swears by that. He swears that, I mean, how crazy do you got to be to now, of course, these are Jimmy's words, not mine. But in that book, he says Charles Haley, when they were making the trade from the 49ers to the Cowboys, Jimmy was talking to one of his scouts or something about Haley, and he says, or it might have been another coach. He says, "Is he smart?" And coach said, "Yeah, he's smart, but he's bat bleep crazy." And then, of course, Jimmy later says that Haley found out later he was bipolar. He had a bipolar disorder. There, Charles Haley, for those of you younger, he's got 5 Super Bowl rings. I mean, this guy. It bounced around a lot. One of the more successful players of all time, but he's a little nuts. He's a little nuts. But I like that because Jim was on that team, and I wonder if Jimmy Johnson wasn't exaggerating on there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Coach. He's probably trying to set up another situation there. Yeah. Pickle says he was he was nuts. He had mad football. Yeah, he was really good at rushing the passer, played for a long time. Charles Haley, he also, Jimmy Johnson, he talks about how foolish Jerry Jones was in that book. He says, this was in the early, I want to say ESPN started around CNN did, Pickles, like 1980, something like that, maybe 79. And during the draft, Jerry wanted to feel so involved, even though he wasn't involved. Like he wasn't involved in football personnel, stuff like that. He wasn't involved like that. Jimmy says in this book, he says that when the cameras are in during the draft, Jimmy, no matter what you're doing, act like you're saying something to me in my ear. Pickles, this is how petty Jerry Jones was. And he's like, this is so annoying. So they made some off-the-wall trade with Atlanta, and I don't even remember the player. Jimmy says the player. And Jerry runs and tells like Ed Warder, his longtime reporter for the Dallas Morning News or whatever. I know he's with ESPN later on, Ed Warder. That he made that trade, and Jimmy's like, golly, it's like, you don't even know who this guy was. You don't even know who this guy. So he was like a little kid that you see kids, and I was like that too. When you see your dad working on something, you want to feel like you're helping. When you're like a little toddler, you're handing your dad the wrench or screwdriver. You're getting them something to drink, some tea or something. And Jerry or Jimmy Johnson in his book, he paints this picture as he has to show everybody that Jimmy's helping, that Jerry Jones is helping. I mean, how petty, Pickles, can you be? Yeah, Pickles says that's called an egomaniac. Yeah, he says, act like you're telling me something, even though you're not saying anything. He's like, I wasn't even saying anything. And I started to say, yeah, I wonder if he, act like Jerry's on the phone talking to somebody, but just, back in them days, they didn't have cell phones. Just unplug the phone from the wall and just act like Jerry, like he's talking to somebody on the phone and everything. So I would love to see and it sounds true because Jerry Jones is a very petty guy, man. He is a very petty guy. And I old Coach Skip Hall, maybe I have to reschedule his day. He ain't came back up here yet. But, it's that is a funny book. That is a really funny book there between how many owners have a radio show. Yeah, that's true. He has his radio show. And, he tells that part in the book, too. Jerry Jones told this story in an interview, and I remember it. And then Jimmy also says this story. So Jerry tells Jimmy Johnson one day, he says, I can tell everybody that I made $10 million deal and nobody would care. But if you tell, if you report that the Cowboys have traded a backup offensive lineman, everybody wants to know about it. And I thought, how narcissistic and insecure do you have to be? He said that he told that story, Jerry himself, and it's so did Jimmy. Also, something, Jimmy Johnson, this tells you how stressful this game is. And kudos to this Coach Hall here for hanging in this profession for 30 years. 5 years. That as much has happened and is exciting and is popular. And I know they were popular. The Cowboys were popular before Jimmy Johnson, but after Jimmy Johnson, they were mega popular, man. But it was only 5 years. 5 years Jimmy Johnson coached there. And you think about the pressure that he was under. And then I think about another guy when I was looking up research and interview for Coach Hall here, Urban Meyer. You would think he had been at Florida, the former Florida coach. You would think that Coach Urban Meyer had been at Florida for 15 or 20 years. 5 years, Pickles. 2 national championships, almost killed him. And, Jimmy Johnson says, Jerry was part of the problem. He said the other part, I didn't like the person I was becoming. He said, man, I was just going off on everybody on losses. He said, I knew that I had to work twice as hard that second year. He said, I could see us getting complacent. Guys, everybody wants to be, even then, they want to build their brand. They want to write books. They want to do all that. They want to do everything but think about the next season. And then even Jerry started getting the more big head, and it's really interesting story, guys. Jimmy also, think about what Jimmy Johnson was in charge of. And he says this in his book also. He says that he was in charge of not only the personnel stuff. Jerry Jones did not have that much money when he bought this team because he risked a lot just to get that football team together, And he says that they had like a contract for like $500,000 a year or something. And he sold suites and got a commission on them. So Jimmy Johnson was going out selling suites. He said he sold them in no time. But so he was in charge of personnel, and he had to talk Jerry into not firing scouts. He said, you want these good football players? Do not fire the scouts. Don't get cheap there. So he started firing people. He was firing so many people in the staff that Jimmy's like bringing them back. No, this person's good for this. This person's good for that. So you had Jimmy Johnson coaching the football team, scouting the football team, selling seats for the stadium. I mean, he's a one-trick pony, man. He's doing everything. So he gets this big extension, and then he wanted to pay Jimmy. He wanted to pay Jimmy full contract, not to coach. After they decided that this thing was not going to work, too much headbutting. He said he was burning out on it. He was getting tired of Jerry's crap here. And long story short, he said, no, we're going to settle for a smaller amount and get this contract done, get this contract bought out, because I may want to go coach somewhere else in a few years. And of course, we know what happened. He ends up going to the Dolphins and coaching there. So let's see. I'm going to ask the coach one more time. He says, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how this happened, but I got to get it fixed. You want to do a new phone drive? Be nuts. I will send you a copy of the book. I'm just going to, that's okay. I'm telling you what I'm saying. That's okay. I've already ordered one. Ordered it from Amazon. Want to try again? I'll just tell the coach next week. Let's see. And I'm hoping to bring Coach on. You know, Coach is 79, so he's not he's 8 years older than Nick Saban, and Nick Saban is acting like, if you hear Nick Saban, he's acting like he's never won a championship. He's and I really so I'm going to tell him, how about next Tuesday, folks? How about that? And how about next Tuesday? So and I'm going to tell you all this, no show next Thursday. I will be, and I may re-air one of my interviews, but I'll be on Northeast Streaming Sports about 15 minutes before the Tennessee Titans pick at 11. I'll be on with Mac and Jack and Jim Jeffcoat's show, and probably breaking some moves. There's no telling, Pickles, what's going to come out. 8 p.m. 15 p.m. ET. Now, he's out of Boise, Idaho, Pickles. Coach is. But I'm going to make sure to see what he says here. It's 8 o'clock in Boise, Idaho. Pickles says, Urban Meyer's another lunatic. Yeah, I mean, he was obsessed with winning. You know, and Nick Saban, I was thinking to myself that Nick Saban, I was thinking he's going to have some health problems. But, you know, Nick Saban, you could tell he stays in good shape. He probably runs every morning. That if I'm any coach, if you got knee problems, I understand. I know Coach Mike Westhoff's got knee problems. Get on a bike, get on a stationary bike. If God willing, if your feet are fine, I would walk every morning. The most coaches I see watch a lot of these documentaries and read about. They go on long walks in the morning because the stress is unbleeping believable. Okay, so yeah, he's going to be on Tuesday, folks, at 7:15 Central Time, 8:15 Eastern. And the good thing for me is I've already got all my prep work done. He's going to send me a book. Nice guy, Skip Paul, but I've already ordered one, so it's a write-off on the business. I lost my cart the other day. It's kind of like a two-wheeler dolly. Got in a hurry, trying to balance everything out, and look, replaced it $90, Pickles. But you know what? Just like these books I order, just like the carts for work, the little dollies, the two-wheelers, they're all tax write-offs. What I do is I just go on the little Bank of America thing, and my accountant, he knows what time it is. I just go up there and I say, yep, I remember that. I remember that heartache. I had to order that book, and that thing on cable, I order that, and this magazine, I remember this, and he just writes it off. So I love the carpet at Boise State, bright blue, Pickles says. But yeah, Mac and Jack and Jim. So essentially, I want to say the draft is 8:00 Eastern on Thursday. And by the way, it's the odds are so overwhelming that it's going to be Bryce Young. I'm thinking it's Bryce Young, Alabama player, and it's going to be probably number 2 for Houston. It Will Anderson, Alabama player, and yeah, you got to delegate. Here's what I like about Saban, guys. Here's what I like about Saban, Pickles, is look at the turnover that he has every year. You say, well, he's got the best players. Yeah, but how do you get the best players? You got to have a staff to get these players. He's got more turnover than anybody I've ever seen in the history of college football. Steve Spurrier said, man, you up there 10 o'clock at night working on this stuff. For example, Bill O'Brien, I was just talking about this with Keith Engel yesterday. Bill O'Brien is in New England. Well, that was the offensive coordinator for Alabama. So he hired a guy that's the offensive coordinator for Notre Dame. He's changing coordinators and coaches and assistants every year. Number 1, he wears them out. Number 2, he's so bleeping successful that they get hired. Kirby Smart, best, 2-time back-to-back national championship winner. Well, yeah, he's got he's a Nick Saban assistant with a lot of Nick Saban players on there. But I think this draft, guys, it would be nice if it started at 7 p.m. Eastern, but I'm pretty sure it started, and I don't even know where it's at this year. I think it's 7 p.m. Oh, it's in Chicago. Yeah, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, 1 week from today, folks. And I'm hoping to have Coach Hall on from Boise, Idaho. My limo driver stopped to take us to the show. You got some plans for later on tonight? Got a little queen, and we're going to treat her right. What was your name? Little girl. Yeah, so that came out in 77. I've been listening to that all week, and I saw that Idaho. I said, man, I haven't heard that Leonard Skinner in a while. Saban flops half of the staff. Yeah, Pickles. He loses half of his staff every year. I mean, and you know what he says, and I've watched 2 documentaries on the guy. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this dude, he said, listen, we don't want to know what you're going to bring to the program. We want to get you coached up for what we do. And we know what you have, but this is what we want you to do. We want you to run the ball, and when we're going for routes here, we want these routes to be crisp. And quite frankly, the guy went from running in defense, which he could still do. Not last year. Tennessee kind of lit him up 52 points, to dynamic quarterback play. Let's go to California. Let's get some of these guys. Been doing 7-on-7 6 kids. Bryce Young, okay. Get a guy from Hawaii, Tua. Let's go outside here. Mac Jones. Let's get more polish at the quarterback position. So kudos to Nick Saban for that. A lot of people can't pivot on the dime like that, So I was wanting to ask him, Skip Hall. I said, since you for his book, Coach 'Em Up, which is at the bottom of the screen here, Nick Saban wrote the foreword in the book. Like I said, he coached Nick Saban, and he coached Nick Saban, and he coached with Saban. And I was wanting to see if we can get Saban on the program. And I'm kind of jokingly thinking, Pickles, how would that go? What would Nick Saban's answer be? Well, I don't have time, Coach, and all due respect, to do podcasts. I barely got time to do any kind of media interviews. Okay, you got the national media here telling me that Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs are the now supreme team in college football, and I got something to say about that, even though I'm 71 years old. And he does got a point, actually. And I was just kidding and doing a little Nick Saban impersonation. They've had the number one class last couple of years. Georgia was so good in recruiting in 18-19 that they were just seeking the residuals of that the last 2 years. Because you all that watched me from day one, I've been saying, I said, man, they got Pickles, they got 8 5-star guys on this team. And one of them was Justin Fields. He ended up transferring to Ohio State. And, Saban got ticked, but he adjusted. And they end up picking second in recruiting. According to 24/7, it's like Real Clear Politics. They average out all the recruits together. They average out all the different recruiting sites. And 24/7 is. And then Saban, he gets a number one class in between there. And then Texas A&M last year, not this past year, 22 class, the 21 class. Texas A&M gets it. And then all this stuff about NIL, he bothering players. But this past year, in December of 22, into February of this year, 23, they're back on top. They got the number one class again. But if you listen to Saban, like Jimbo Fisher says, if one little thing don't go his way, he loses it, man. He totally loses. And I want to ask, that's what I want to ask Skip. I mean, was he blowing up like this when he was young? Because, man, he is a lit candle, Pickles. Yeah, Pickles says Mac Jones, Tua, Hurts. I mean, think about it. All three right now are starting in the NFL. Now, I don't know how long Tua's going to be starting, And Pickles says never underestimate that star system. I mean, it's 5-star guy, 5-star guy. Now, I'm not in love with this quarterback he's got. But that being said, maybe the backup's better. Saban's teams are deep. That's why, guys like Alvin Kamara goes to Tennessee. He was a star at Tennessee. Then he's a star with the Saints there. You just don't know. I'm not in love with that, but the backup guy may be better. They're not even favored to win it this year, but I'm looking at their classes. They look pretty bleeping good, though. Georgia can't win it every year. They lost another quarterback. Bennett. Bennett's going to be on the draft next week. My guess is he'll be from 5 to 7. He might go undrafted since he got that public intox charge. But then again, they're saying he's very skilled. He's a good athlete. He may be another Brock Purdy, for all we know. But you can't get a public as a quarterback. You're judged a lot with a lot more restriction than you are a different player. Now, you say, what about Baker Mayfield? He got like a DUI. Yeah, and it looked bad, and look how Baker Mayfield turned out. He's not even a starter anymore. Maybe he starts for Tampa, but I'm hearing now that maybe Tampa may draft a quarterback. So, and Pickle says, yeah, Hurts got the big check. Hurts was the one that I didn't think was going to do anything at Alabama. And Pickle says maybe Bennett will be a walk-on. Now, I'll tell you guys this, and we'll get off here. Stetson Bennett's offensive coordinator. It used to be the offense for Baltimore. Used to be his coordinator at Georgia. With all this stuff going on with Lamar Jackson's contract, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't take Bennett in the 6th or 7th round, and Bennett starting. Bennett, Todd Nugent, I think is his name. Remember, you got Odell Beckham, you got Rashawn Bateman, which I think can probably be a number one in this league. Lamar can't throw the ball straight half the time; he's too inconsistent. And then you got Mark Andrews. Fantasy wise, he's right there. He's just under Kels. But remember, Kels has got the best quarterback in the league practically in Patrick Mahomes, and the best scheme in the league with Andy Reid. So you look at that, Bennett with Odell Beckham, who's overpaid, but he's still pretty decent. Bateman. Pickle says, I know Pickle's probably staying Devin Duvernay because I know you love that Devin Duvernay, So they're not that bad. Now, the problem is when you're playing Cleveland with Deshaun Watson is going to be really good this year. Cincinnati's going to be the favorite. And then, of course, you've got Kenny Pickett with that Pittsburgh team who supposedly fixed their biggest flaw, that offensive line. I'm not in love with the Allen Robinson trade, but they got George Pickens and they've got Deontay Johnson in fire move Pickles. TJ Watt, they got the pass rush on defense. Pittsburgh's going to be Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to win 9 games, Pickles, come Hades or high water. Now, they may win 12. But I'll put it this way, that division will probably be the toughest in football next year. The South, the NFC South may be the weakest, and maybe the AFC South for that matter, but who knows? But then again, I don't know. Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, they're going to be pretty good. That Jacksonville team may win 12 games next year. They very well may win 12 games next year. But that when you play the AFC North, I mean, you're gonna have to bring it every bleeping week. And I like I said, I like Cincinnati getting Orlando Brown there. So, anyways, it's unfortunate couldn't get Coach Skip Hall in, but I tell you what, I'm just. He said, yes, sir. I will make sure all the systems good to go. Okay, great. So he just confirmed now that I will have on Tuesday, folks, have the great Skip Hall. Man. Yeah, reminds me, Pickles, of Samuel Jackson in that movie, Jackie Brown, he's talking to Chris Tucker character. He said, shoot, man, my lawyer, shoot, he knows Johnny Cochran. Shoot, he kicked Johnny Cochran's rear end. He loves bleeping with the police. That's kind of like me talking about Coach Hall, and he knows Nick Saban. Heck, he coached Nick Saban. Thank you, Pickles, Corey. Everybody apologize about. Hey, look, it's technology. I'm surprised that it's worked this good, and I'll tell you all this. Also, I'm working on getting a video for the program. Want to thank you, John, for introducing me to that makeawebvideo.com. I think I've been working on an intro there, so I got a lot of stuff cooking there, and this program is eventually going to it's going to take off, folks. It really is. And I want to thank you all for everything today. Didn't even have the material, still got through an hour. I mean, that's just because I got Pickles helping me out here, and everybody. We will try this again on Tuesday. What is tomorrow? Friday. I'll be here, same place, same time, with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez. We're going to go over the NBA playoffs. I hope Kawhi comes back. I hope it was just a precautionary thing, but I'm kind of concerned about that. We'll go over the playoffs and everything here on Sports Scope. Have a good night, everybody.